Now, staying with that conversation caught on Albuquerque police body camera, the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women condemned what's heard in the recording, saying that they were, quote, outraged and appalled by the recent revelations of deeply racist and dehumanizing language, end quote. Now, Jeff speaks with Tiffany Herron, Executive Director of the Coalition, about the decades of difficulties Indigenous communities have faced when turning to the police for help, and how this newly revealed recording further harms that relationship. But first, again, a warning. The following clip includes language not appropriate for younger audiences.
Gotta get a savage in his life. They don't have it. What's going on over there now? Talking about getting the savages? They're not in control. My only concern coming over here was that you're black. Literally. Just because the optics of it.
Oh, I know. Especially right now.
You know what I mean? It wasn't that honky out here shooting people. This weird ass accent. They never turn my camera off.
Thank you for being here, Tiffany, and welcome to New Mexico in Focus.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to begin with those couple of audio clips that our audience just heard. What was your initial reaction to those when you heard them?
When I first heard these audio clips made by APD officers and the term savage and, just the way they talk about Indigenous people here in New Mexico, and it really upsets me. It's very dehumanizing to label other human beings as savages. We know that savage means that they're less than, almost animal-like, and it really does affect me as an Indigenous woman who works for the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women, and also as a social worker. It's really disheartening. It really makes me reflect on how families must feel when a missing loved one or a murdered loved one is found and there's no kind of remorse from law enforcement. When there's these kind of remarks, it's disgraceful. And I'm sorry, sometimes I could get very emotional thinking about the way that we're thought of. It's just not right, and it's very inhumane to be labeled and called terms such as savage and felt less than.
Some of the audio that we didn't play for viewers was a racist exchange among these cops that centered around the Pueblo of Isleta, which is where you're from. Did any additional feelings or connections come up for you as you thought about these conversations in that context?
Yes, I am from the Pueblo of Isleta. I was born and raised there, still reside in the reservation. And as an active community member, it's really upsetting to hear that, these law enforcement officers have no respect for my community, have no respect for our traditional values, our cultural values, and to say things that are very untrue. A lot of our communities, our tribal communities, not just across New Mexico, but across the United States, Turtle Island, really do not have adequate housing. We lack housing. Housing is such a huge issue across tribal communities. And to hear that, there's, free land or free homes, it's like, where are they? Because I know many of my family members struggle and are on the waiting list through some of our housing department initiatives, that they're on the waiting list for over 11, sometimes 15 years and cannot receive adequate housing. And so that statement is just very false. It's disheartening to hear that people are talking about these types of things that are very untrue, especially when we know that there's a housing issue and a housing gap. And this leads to a lot of missing and murdered Indigenous peoples, sex trafficking, and domestic violence and sexual violence.
Tiffany, you are the executive director of the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women. Can you talk a little bit about the work your organization does?
Absolutely. We are a survivor-led organization, meaning that we come to this work with our own experiences of domestic violence, sexual violence, and possibly even experience missing and murdered family. And so one of our staff actually has experienced this in a deeper way. Our land and body violence coordinator, which is Deandra Reed, experienced the mishaps of what had happened when her sister Tiffany Reed went missing. And so we really do work together to heal one another when we are working in the field of violence, because it's very traumatizing for us. A lot of us are doing some healing work ourselves because of our own experiences. But most importantly, the work that we do for survivors and impacted family members is provide healing workshops. We provide training and education, which is a very huge department. We have a staff of, I believe, 7 in this department, with an amazing director leading us and helping us organize more prevention activities and trainings throughout the state of New Mexico, and also expanding to my sister tribe down in Isleta del Sur in Isleta, Texas. And so we also do policy advocacy. In fact, coming up in November, there's a huge tribal consultation hosted by the Department of Justice and the Office of Violence Against Women, where we will be taking tribal leaders and also impacted family members to testify in front of the federal government on some of the necessary changes that we need at the federal level.
It sounds like, based on the nature of the work, that you must work with law enforcement, work with cops sometimes. I wonder, hearing something like this, how does that impact that relationship, both for your coalition and for Indigenous communities more broadly?
Absolutely. In most of our trainings and in a lot of our awareness campaigns and a lot of our social media content, we provide resources for families and for survivors of domestic violence and sexual violence on who to call when a situation arises. And always, all the time, we want survivors to call 911, and that is our first responders. And our first responders are law enforcement officers who now we felt that there's a broken trust. And I think that, there's always just been some racial systemic racism within law enforcement. And this clip clearly shows that this is still happening here in Albuquerque, where there's a large population of Indigenous people residing. I know in my pueblo, we hire a lot of APD retired officers. We hire a lot of APT officers that have been with APD for a while. And to hear that, there's, that mindset and belief from these officers who are non-Native, who have no respect for Indigenous cultures and tribes, it's really hard to trust when, we expect them to serve and protect us. To hear that they're, wanting to be a part of the violence instead of protecting against violence, they're in the wrong field, and they absolutely have no place. Law enforcement shouldn't have a place for any of these type of behaviors. It's very perpetrating behaviors that I see from those clips, and very abusive. We know that there's some statistics out there that identify that law enforcement officers do in fact cause a lot of harm. They have the highest rates for committing domestic violence against their spouses and partners. And even more so recently, we've heard about sexual violence caused by law enforcement officers. I mean, it even happened in my pueblo. And so it's very hard to continue to trust law enforcement and work with them, but we are open to, help and reform and train law enforcement officers as long as they're, open-minded to working with us as well.
I want to get a little bit more specific and talk some about the missing and murdered Indigenous peoples crisis. My friend Bella Davis reports on that crisis quite a bit for New Mexico in depth. She's reported on the state response plan. We often read about one of the barriers to solving those kinds of cases, or really providing a proper investigation, is what you just talked about, that Native people often feel invisible or even worse in their interactions with law enforcement. In those kinds of cases, are these recordings that we hear the manifestation of that?
Absolutely. There's a strong correlation with what we just heard and why cases of MMIP and MMIR are not handled with care. There's families out there who are doing their own advocacy. They're doing their own organizing. and they're needing additional support and follow-up from law enforcement, and they're just not receiving that. And I really feel that it's because of their mindset, their behaviors, and the way that they're thinking, just isn't aligned with the family members. We love and care for our family members, and to hear that, we hear it all the time from families, and we have a really good working relationship with a lot of our impacted families of MMIW and MMIP, that their cases have just fallen through the gaps because of the lack of investigations, the lack of care. Some of the cases that come through that we get wind of, they're handled very poorly. Evidence is being lost. They're not doing things correctly, and I think it's because of just the systemic racism. And it's clearly still evident that this is the behaviors of law enforcement handling these cases. These families are in dire need of better support.
Your coalition, Tiffany, asked for a number of things to happen when these recordings hit the press. What were some of them, and have any of them happened?
Yeah, we asked for a public apology, and we've also asked for a comprehensive plan from APD law enforcement. And so far, I did get wind that there was an apology stated to my governor, Governor Zuni of the Pueblo of Isleta. And I saw a YouTube clipping of the deputy chief of APD making a public apology during one of the Albuquerque council meetings. But I haven't yet to see a comprehensive plan. And, someone from APD reaching out to the coalition hasn't happened yet. And I would very much, welcome that, because we do need our APD law enforcement officers. As I mentioned, there's a lot of Indigenous people living here in Albuquerque. My Pueblo borders Albuquerque and also the Las Lunas area. And to build these relationships with law enforcement is really important. In fact, the coalition recently participated in 2 national night outs with law enforcement agencies, one in my Pueblo and one in Valencia County. And we were treated, very well and welcomed. And we got to meet law enforcement officers there and build relationships. And I want to continue to build relationships with our law enforcement agencies because we do need them. And we can do a better job together if there's some collaboration.
Beyond that, Tiffany, how does this get better? I know that you're a member of the MMIP Advisory Council. Is there a role for that group? Is there a role for the legislature? How do we not have this conversation again?
Yeah, absolutely. As a member of the Advisory Council, I know that some things are on pause right now as the Indian Affairs Department is working really hard and diligently on finding a new special projects coordinator for this position to lead the Advisory Council. And so I know they're working extremely hard to get this back up and going. And meetings will happen soon, and we will continue to work very hard and providing advice and support, especially keeping families involved and making sure that they're a part of the discussion. I know my role as the executive director, I want to continue to keep families at the forefront and their voices at the forefront, and making sure that they're included in our upcoming tribal leaders OVW consultation that's going to be happening here in Santa Fe, Pewaukee Pueblo at the Buffalo Thunder this year.
Tiffany Giron, Executive Director of the Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.